Hello, welcome to my channel. Another bibliophile reads. My name is Greg. I am out for my morning walk in Virginia along a wooded path. It is quite an enjoyable task to walk every morning and listen to my audiobook. This is the beginning of week 9 of my 100 book challenge, where I have challenged myself to read 100 books I own before buying another book. It is also the start of a new year. And last year I read 216 books. They weren't very long. It was a total of about 66,000 pages, which is average about 280 something pages per book. So my books are rather short. And will my 2024 year be better than my 2023 year? It's only the beginning of the year, so I don't know. We'll have to see. I have finished my 46th book, Voices of the City by Gareth Howells. Gareth is a booktuber. His channel is Books, Songs, and Other Magic, and this is a collection of his poetry. It is a themed anthology where each poem is a voice from someone in his city, presumably Portsmouth. And I kind of liked this book. I read it all in one day on January 1st, 2024, because I have this little ritual that I like to read a book from start to finish on the first day of the year. So just at the end of the first day, I can say, I have completed a book. And so this was a pretty good book to do that. It's a collection of poetry, so it's fairly easy to read in one day. The only criticism I would have of myself is that when you read a book of poems like this, it should probably be read a little slower, savor some of the voices, because each poem does have a voice, and they're not necessarily Gareth's voice. If you know Gareth's personality on his channel, these are not them. These are characters that he invented because he just wanted to show the range of people that you might find in a city. So what I want to do now is just read one of his poems. And the one I am going to read is called Herald. Since the diagnosis, I haven't been right. What used to be routine is now crucial and treasured. What used to be theory is now overwhelming. What used to be fun is now simple luxury. My life has changed with tributaries of loss. My life has shortened. With a warning I wear, my life has hit me as a blessing I can't lose. My life is urgent in a way I couldn't have imagined. Mortality floats around us like a light breeze until you're dealt that card you dread, and the wind becomes oppressive and cold, threatening to cut you down at will. Your alertness is futile. Your regret is powerless. Your time is limited. The stark reality of life's short breath pushes you off course. And as such, since the diagnosis, I haven't been right. So there you go. You have a collection of poems by a fellow booktuber. I can recommend this. It may not be Dylan Thomas. It may not be Robert Frost. It's Gareth Howells. And that's good enough. I have finished my 47th book, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. This is a reread for me. I first read it in high school during the 80s, and then I listened to the audiobook a few times over the years. And this is one of the truly great science fiction novels ever written. It was published in the 1950s, and it is, of course, the story of Guy Montag, a fireman set sometime in the future where books are outlawed and books are burned. And it is the job of firemen to burn books because houses have been fireproofed and do not burn without the aid of fire. And this is an important book. As I said, I read this to help celebrate the 24 banned books in 2024. And this really is the ultimate book about banned books, itself banned, and how people get afraid of books, and books terrify them because books contain knowledge that some people don't want out, or books contain knowledge that people are afraid of it, or it makes them feel bad. And I just want to read a short little quote from this book. It is a speech spoken by the fire chief talking to Guy Montag. Colored people don't like Little Black Sambo. Burn it. White people don't feel good about Uncle Tom's Cabin. Burn it. Someone writes a book on tobacco and cancer of the lungs. The cigarette people are weeping. Burn the book. Serenity, Montag. Peace, Montag. Take your fight outside. Better yet, into the incinerator. Funerals are unhappy and pagan. Eliminate them too. 5 minutes after a person is dead, he's on his way to the big flu. The incinerators serviced by helicopters all over the country. 10 minutes after death, a man's a speck of black dust. Let's not quibble over individuals with memoriams. Forget about them. Burn all. Burn everything. Fire is bright and fire is clean. And really, that is what some of the modern book burners want to do. There is a video clip. It was a book burning run by Greg Locke down in the Deep South. He actually had a burning of books within the last few years, sort of like the book burning in Germany during the 30s. It is a serious problem in the United States. But reading this book may help you understand just a little bit of the psychology behind why some people want to ban books. It is also just a friggin' great story with some great writing by one of the greatest science fiction authors that ever lived. Pick it up if you haven't read it. And if you have read it, reread it again for 24 banned books in 2024. Photos of a book burning from Germany, 1933. Photos from Greg Locke's book burning, Mount Juliet, Tennessee, 2022. I have finished my 48th book, The Great God Pan, by Arthur Machan, one of the greatest horror novellas ever written. It was originally published in the 1890s. It starts off with a scientist inviting one of his friends to observe an experiment. This scientist believes that with a simple operation on a human being, he can adjust the perception of that person, because just beyond our perception, there is another unseen world. It is a world of gods and other fabulous entities. And this operation, when completed, will allow the person to see into this realm. So the scientist has a young female ward. She is about 17 years old. She has no other family. And she agrees with the scientist to this operation. And once the operation is done, and he does this operation by drilling a little hole in her skull, she wakes up and she starts screaming in utter terror And then she loses her mind and becomes feeble. And she cannot be revived. She is gone. Because, as a scientist said, she has seen the great god, Pan. Now, that is the first part of this novella. The other parts of the novella take place over different periods of time. I won't get into those stories, but it is a fascinating story because this operation and this girl and what she saw have other consequences. And what I really like about this is that the Machan envisioned this world beyond our world that exists unseen, unless you're one of the special few. So if you have not read this horror novella, it should shoot to the top of your list. It is truly one of the greatest horror stories ever written, I think. And it was written in the 1890s, and a definite influence upon H.P. Lovecraft. I have finished book 49, The Silence by Daisy Pearce. This is a contemporary thriller set in London. It starts with a early middle-aged woman, about 34, 35. She used to be a childhood star in the 90s. She had one of those dreadful comedies that are sort of very family-oriented. I presume it would be something like Nickelodeon, even though I've never watched Nickelodeon, but it was British. And she was a young star, and she had a little catch line, "I think we better ask Daddy," or something like that, that she had to say in every episode. Well, that show got canceled. The money that she made on that show, well, her father gambled that away. So now she is living in London, early 30s. She has her best friend sharing a flat with, and she's working at a hotel. She's gotten a degree in art history, and she wants to own a gallery, but her life's not going that well. Well, one night she meets a man who remembers, like, goes, "Oh, you were the star of that show, weren't you?" And she goes, "Yeah," but she kind of likes the guy, and they go back to his apartment and hit the sack for the night. And she thought it was going to be a one-night stand, but this guy, he kind of likes this Stella, and he's a wealthy businessman. So he sorts of helps her out, and they start forming this really good relationship, except that he starts giving her some pills for anxiety, a lot of pills. And Stella's life goes careening out of control because Stella has this really unfortunate habit of doing something when she gets upset, and she's had it her whole life. I won't reveal what that is. But eventually, she loses the rest of her family, she loses her friends, and her boyfriend, now her fiancé, takes her out to a house that his family used to own on the coast of England somewhere. And we'll leave it at that. For a thriller, it's okay. It's mostly written in first person present tense. It does have a couple odd swings backs in flashbacks, and I'm really not sure how I feel about those. They didn't really work that well in this style of book. But there you go. A pretty nice thriller. This was picked for my Kobo clean out event. I picked this out as something as, why did I buy this book? And once I dug a little deeper, it turns out that I actually didn't buy this book. It was a Amazon monthly giveaway. Amazon gives away a number of books every month for their Prime members. And this is one of the giveaways that I got a few years ago and completely forgot about. Is this a work worth reading? Yeah, if you want to just a simple, easygoing thriller that's not too challenging, I can recommend it. I did notice that the author has another book on Kindle Unlimited. Will I pick it out? Maybe. I've put it on my list of possibilities. If that ever runs low and I'm looking for a pretty easygoing thriller, I might check out this author's second book. I have DNF'd my 50th book. This is from the Delphi collection of Edgar Wallace. I was reading The Four Just Men, which is a sort of a crime thriller written in 1905, 1908, somewhere around that era. Edgar Wallace was a co-writer or author of the screenplay of King Kong, so he's very well known for that. And during his day, he was an extremely popular author. And this book starts off with four men who think they know better about how to mete out justice when justice is not being done. They talk about a priest who was having fun with a girl when he should not have been having fun with a girl, and the girl's life was destroyed. So these men went out to destroy the priest. That's the sort of thing they do. And I guess in Britain, there is this bill that they want to pass about immigration that the Four Just Men are opposed to. So they sent threatening letters to the government of England, and they send a fake bomb that they sneak into the Parliament building. Now, it's not a real bomb. They just said, this could have been a real bomb, though. If you don't change course on this bill the next time, it will be a real bomb. So I was reading this, sort of enjoying it. It was okay. And it was then on a Friday night. I was halfway through a chapter, a little less than halfway through the book, and it was time to go out to dinner with my wife, and I set it down. And during dinner, I got to thinking, am I looking forward to getting home and reading this book? And the answer was no. And I had previously, either earlier in the day or the day before, was watching another booktuber about how to read more books. And their advice was, if you're not enjoying the book, if you're not thinking about how much you would like to return to reading it, then just DNF it. So I DNF'd it. So there we go. I'm still counting it for my Kobo cleanout as the most recent book that I purchased. Even if it's a DNF, it still counts for the cleanout event. Look at this weather outside in Virginia on this Saturday afternoon. It's not the best. It's gray and it's rainy. I'm on my sun deck with absolutely no sun in sight, and it's way too cold for a sensible person to be out here talking about books. But I have finished reading my 51st book, a novella, The Devil's Mountain by Jack Harding. This is one of those kind of books that you can pick up on your Kindle, really dirt cheap or free. I think I got this for free on a special event. And this is the story of a young British couple. A man and his girlfriend are visiting Germany, and they're hiking through the mountains going to this destination called the Devil's Mountain. They do give the German title in the short story. I'm not going to try to pronounce that German word. I'll get it entirely wrong, even though they give some pretty good pronunciation advice in the story, because the girlfriend is fluent in German and the man isn't. Well, anyway, the girl wants to visit an abandoned Stasi outpost that was converted by the CIA for a while, but now it's abandoned. They said it used to be a Stasi prison and then a CIA outpost, but now totally abandoned. And they go up there, and there's a man out front selling tickets to walk into this abandoned building. And it's like €5 a person. And that's not bad, but they only have an hour. And the guy said, I'm closing these gates on time, whether you're out or not. And so they're sort of in a hurry going through this abandoned building. And the man starts seeing things. There's another figure in a dark hat who he can't quite catch up to. And I'll leave it at that, because this is a very atmospheric novella. It really gets you into this abandoned building in quite some detail. And at first I thought, he's going into too much detail. But then I said, that is the story. This wandering through this abandoned Stasi building somewhere in Germany is the story. And it is a horror story. And I'll leave it at that. It's well worth your time. It's not going to be the greatest horror story you've ever read in your life, but really, that's kind of why you pick up some of these little horror novellas, to discover an unknown author. I'm going to call that a wrap for week 9. Yes, it's only Saturday afternoon, and I have time to squeeze in another book, a short book if I wanted to, but I have another book that I want to get done for next week. So I'm just going to call this an early end to week 9. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.